Welcome everyone to another Queen Bees, and hopefully you like the video. Comment down below if you do, and watch this video up to the end, or watch a different video, maybe something that would, I don't know, you do you, I'll do me, and let's go. I've read that before. For a dream my brain cooked up, it sure was tedious. Nothing but day after day of grinding away at that millstone. If that's all that's waiting for me, maybe I'm better off dying down here. I don't mean that. I don't want to die. That dream wasn't all bad. At least, at the very end, some interesting things happened. I propped myself up on my elbows gently this time and glanced down at my leg, which sure enough is still twisted to a unique angle. Ooh, I kinda imagined that. Ooh. That's not good. That's bad. I give a violent retch when nothing comes up. It's been too long since I've eaten anything. Moving that leg is out of the question. Yup. I lie down again. Before long, I drift back into the realm of fantasy. What else can I do? My first rescuers are mother and father. Well, this is obviously nonsense. They aren't going to come and rescue me, they're both dead. On the contrary, if they do show up, then I know I'm in trouble. After that, brother comes by. As if. Why would he show up now after no word for over a year? This is just as unlikely, really, ridiculous. So, who is actually going to turn up? Chief? Rocher? Or Aylmer? Someone will come, right? Brownwin? Anyone? Anyone. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who. Please, please, find me. Otto? Hey Otto, wake up. Welcome back. Switch. We're live? There's no way a dead person could be making as much noise as you were just now. Sorry, just having a nightmare. My condolences to anyone who shares a bed with you in the future. Oh, foreshadowing? Hey! It's so dark here. This is the bottom of that pit? Look up. I do as Switch says. High above us is a circle of dim, yellow light. A fake full moon so far above us that its weak radiance doesn't reach the depths where we lie. We fell all this way and didn't die? I'm not even hurt. How about you? My pride has taken a beating, but physically I feel fine. We fall silent, ruminating for a while on our mutual failure. Something on the upper limits of my vision makes me look up again. Something is falling from the fake moon. It's bright, like a star, warm like fire. Echo! Where did you disappear to until now? Otto, I'm glad you're okay. I've got a letter for you. Where are your clothes? The guards took them. You don't see them up there, do you? No? Here's the letter. Otto. It's from your sister. From Winnie? Let's have a look. Wow, don't get so close when you're naked. Idiot, don't get embarrassed now. You've seen it before. I had clothes on back then. And that makes it okay? Okay, that's enough flirting. Switch dresses the way she does, so it's not as if there's anything particular novel about seeing her in the buff. She makes a good point. Every single one of you. Here, use the light from the amber to read, and I'll see if I can find your things. I open the letter and begin reading the candlelight glow of the magical amber. The handwriting is unmistakably Winnie's. The sight of it gives me a warm, familiar feeling inside, almost as if she were here in person. Otto. You're a very foolish boy, but I can't express in words how incredibly happy it made me that you came all this way to save me. You were the very picture of a gallant knight. That said, please don't think your sister has just been sitting on her hands like some kind of storybook princess. I'll be a scholar until I die. I made the show of being upset when the beast suggested throwing you in the dungeon, but based on what I've managed to research, it might in actual fact be the best place to be. If you'll permit me to expose it a little. The tower where we are currently being held captive was built on the on the ruins of the old palace, which was destroyed when Darius seized the throne in a coup 10 years ago. It was built on principles described in various esoteric-oriented texts that Darius collected and studied with great interest. One symbol in particular seems to have been a sort of mania of his. Yin and yang, light and darkness in balance, with light in the darkness and darkness in the light. What do you make of that? Does it not seem similar to this tall white tower built over a deep black pit? At the top of this white tower sits our dark sovereign with her black sword, a cursed weapon if even I saw one, and at the bottom of the black pit is... It might be worth investigating since you're stuck down there for the time being. Anyway, it could be the trump card we need to bring this misadventure to a close. I want to say don't take any unnecessary risks, but it's a little late for that now. Anyway, don't take any unnecessary risks. As long as you're alive, good things might happen. Your sister, Winnie. P.S. Introduce me to your girlfriend once you've escaped. Your girlfriend, huh? She's just trying to embarrass me. She has a weird sense of humor. I hope the orange light is hiding the blood rising to my cheeks. Or somewhere else. Hey, it seems somewhat counterintuitive, but going by what your sister is telling us, it sounds as though our best bet is to head downward. I thought adventurers enjoyed nothing more than plumbing the depths of some scary dungeon. We don't usually do it in the nude. Thank goodness I put in the safety measures, everybody. There's nothing to look at down here except Switch's sexy, naked body. I feel like I'm going mad. After what feels like an eternity, Echo reappears to save me from my torture, sagging under the weight of a merely burning torch. I'm back! I'm sorry, but I couldn't find your stuff anywhere. Here's a better light, at least. Thanks, Echo. We can't ask you to risk discovery any more than this, though. You should head back over to Faber's place. Faber, huh? That's going to be an awkward conversation. Hopefully he'll forgive me if we manage to find his trump card. You don't want me to come with you? There's no point in all of us taking a plunge into the unknown. We're the ones stuck down here, so we'll go. Instead, please try and find some way of getting us out of here once we return. Okay, I'll see what I can do. Good luck! The torchlight reveals our present location to be a stone cavern, perhaps 3 times the size of the opening to the hole. It doesn't appear to be man-made. The walls of the cave are entirely rough and uneven, but there's a particularly deep pocket of darkness that seems to be leading further in. You had better lead the way for various reasons. Right. Relax, I've got your back. Wah! Before we've got even 10 paces, I get a scare. To the right of the crevice, sitting in plain sight, is one of our fellow prisoners. Hugging his knees, he gazes up at the false moon with the empty eyes of a dead fish. Don't freak out every time you see a corpse. They're a common occurrence in any dungeon. Look, there's others too. A corpse? He's breathing though. You're right. You're right. He is. Maybe they all are. How mysterious. The rivers flow? Why are they just sitting here though? Maybe they find the light comforting. As they say in Dark Souls, praise the sun. Switch waves her hand in the man's face to no reaction. Shouldn't we leave them alone? Yeah, probably. Best to let sleeping dogs lie. Hey, sleeping dogs, check that game out, man. That game is lit. Not as good as GTA 5, but for a game of itself, you know, it's a undercover cop kind of thing game. Pretty good. Lots of action. We venture further into the dungeon, ducking under what couldn't be called a ceiling, and clambering over what couldn't be called a floor. Simply the rocks that are above and below us. There are many ups and downs, but on the whole, we must be moving downwards at a fairly steep incline, in a sort of rough corkscrew, lending some credence to Brownwind's speculation. Every now and then we stumble across another one of the locals, each one as inert as the last. Upon even a brief consideration, their presence here becomes an inexplicable mystery. Just what exactly are they subsisting on? Does someone come all the way down here and feed them? If I were to place a piece of bread in front of one, would they even bring it to their mouth? Or if there's no food or water, is there something else sustaining them? Well now, what do you think of these two? What do I think? There are two prisoners, a man and a woman, leaning against one another, their cheeks pressed together like a pair of slow dancers. They could be lovers, embracing, or bitter enemies locked in mortal combat, or they could have just happened to end up like that. They aren't moving an inch. Whatever it is they're doing, they might have been doing it for years. Switch is standing back a ways and looking them over with an appraising eye. I think they're in the way. This isn't an art gallery, Switch. When you've developed an eye for aesthetics as refined as my own, you will look for art everywhere, my friend. So, what you think we should find a way around them? What a pain. I never said that. They really are in the way. I just don't want to seem like an insensitive clod when I suggest pushing them aside. An insensitive clod, you said the same thing before. Huh? Did I? What do you need the approval of your pack mule for anyway? I don't think you're a clod, Switch. You're so sweet, Otto. Well then, since we've cleared that matter up, I turn stiffly away from a positively glowing Switch and approach the strange couple obstructing our passage. Could you let us pass, please? No reaction. It's a shame, but we're gonna have to push them aside after all. It can't be helped, I suppose. Excuse me. I gingerly pushed against the arm of the male prisoner. His flesh is cold but not deathly cold. Somehow that slight warmth is even more revolting. The man makes no attempt to resist or even to balance himself, and he falls to the floor despite my best attempt to be gentle. Without any support, the woman follows him down. The pair's new arrangement leaves little ambiguity as to the nature of their relationship. Is it getting hot in here? I just hope I'm not misunderstanding things. I'm sorry. Still no reaction. Hey, you apologized too. Sorry. We did ask you to move though. We stepped carefully over the fallen pair and continued downwards. I think what's happening to these prisoners? A dim light and lots of nothing. They'd be bored out of their minds, sanity being depleted each second, minute? They won't even know. It's hella dark. The only sensation that they have is each other, and I guess that runs out. I don't recall where I read that, but boredom is close to insanity. Weirdly enough, in the spectrum of things, and it's like in a circle of like anger, depression, whatever. Yeah, boredom ain't fun, man. Remove all your senses, you go mad. What's that sound? That loud metallic tapping? A monster? What? That sounds like a monster to you, does it? I don't know what it is, so I'm assuming the worst. Oh, I bet it's one scary monster. Something about that face of yours is ticking me off. What should we do? Well, if we can hear them, they can probably hear us. They can probably see the light from the torch too. Let's advance carefully and hope they're living down here because they aren't partial to light. We come to a hard left turn that takes us into what must be a rather large chamber. That the sound is originating from the far end, which is still deep in shadow, but it ceases before we can get close enough for the light to reveal its origin. In its place comes the sound of bare footsteps coming towards us. A tall and wasted-looking man appears at the edge of the circle of the torchlight. In his left hand is a broken dagger, and in his right is a fist-sized rock. In this respect, I suppose he could be described as armed, but the way he's holding his weapons doesn't suggest he intends to use them. Switch seems to be inspecting her fingernails. In any case, she's not on her guard. Hello? My apologies. It's been so long since I've seen real light. Real light, as opposed to what? Excuse me. But please, you must come closer. The man glances down at his hands and makes a strange expression that could be a wry smile. There's no need to be on your guard. These are my tools. I'm only a simple craftsman. I've been hard at work over there. He gestures with a broken dagger into the darkness behind him. I'm making a statue of my beloved in pitch darkness. You may think it's foolish. I myself wonder often enough if I haven't gone mad. There's no way cold stone could replicate her warmth. Even so, it's the only consolation I have. Down here in this too dark place, where there is no present and no future, where all we can do is dwell in our memories, and in doing so distort and muddy them. I have to have something that's real, something that came from those pure memories. Pure memories, huh? I glance at Switch, who is wearing that uncharacteristically bitter expression I've seen across her features from time to time. I didn't realize it until I saw your light, but I really would like to look upon my beloved's face once more. So won't you come closer? Well, okay. I wouldn't if I were you. You aren't curious? What happened to your eye for aesthetics? He isn't asking for a lot, but can do this much. With this man's keen gaze on my back, I walk further into the chamber. The torch's flame seems to squirm as it casts its fiery light into the ancient darkness. That must be it. Yes, there it is. Just a bit closer. So this is... That's her pure memory, is it? Switch? It's fine, young man. Your friend is right to mock me. I am a fool after all. The self-depreciating smile slowly disappears from the man's face, and his expression becomes vague and unfocused. He no longer seems to recognize our presence. He inclines his face towards the ceiling of the cavern. Tell me, how much longer must you torment me before you'll be satisfied? What do I have to do to show you the depth of my remorse? He drops the stone in his right hand and falls to his knees. Then gripping the dagger in his left with both hands, he holds it before him with the blade turned inwards. Wait, what? And plunges it into his stomach. Only when he begins slowly dragging the blade across his midsection as he were gutting himself like a fish do I master my shock and attempt to restrain him. I grab his arms and try to pull them away, but they're as tough as tree roots, and they resolutely press on with their grim tasks. Stop it! Stop! Do you see? Do you see my blood? My blood is still red, Brandy! In spite of efforts, the man completes his gory ritual and his taut limbs suddenly go slack. He falls on his back into a growing pool of blood and stares up at the ceiling, or something beyond it, with his empty eyes. Hey, keep it together, old man! Switch, you can do magic, right? Do you know a spell that can heal wounds? Why are you just standing there? You don't need to feel guilty, Otto. This isn't your fault. But if I hadn't shown him that statue, all you did was remind him that he had something he needed to atone for. What could he have done that he needed to atone for by... What? What is it? Before our astonished eyes, the man's spilled blood is returning to its source? What was clearly a mortal wound is closing up. It's just as if time itself were being turned back. That's the only way I can describe it. It's not long before there is no trace whatsoever of any laceration. What the hell is going on? It's like there's something down here that's keeping the prisoners alive. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, no one's getting fed. Something here is like making them, you know, healthy physically, I guess, yeah? Mentally, hell nah. Or it might be more appropriate to say it's keeping them from dying. It must be the same thing that kept us from dying when we were thrown in here as well. Our trump card, perhaps? It could be. It's a good premise to work on for now. Come on, Otto, let's go. I don't think there's anything we can do for this chap except leave him alone. Yeah, okay. The sudden sensation of a cold hand touching my cheek sets my teeth on edge. This face. What about my face? It couldn't be. The chances of such things happening are... But... No, there's no mistake. Really? Really now? I've been asking the wrong person for forgiveness all along. What fate! What fate! Thank you, young man, for your kind concern. I'm alright now. The man takes his hand away from my cheek and sits up. Then collecting his dropped tools, he gets slowly to his feet. You've been accommodating enough already, but may I make one more request before you move on? Go ahead. Could I perhaps convince you to leave your torch here? After meeting you, I feel as though I can finish this statue. I wish we could, but it might make things difficult for us. Worry not. If you're heading further down, you aren't going to need it. The path does not fork, and quite soon you'll find light. You'll find light in abundance. And quite soon oh yeah. What do you mean exactly? You said something before about real light, and then neglected to elaborate further. I think we've earned an explanation. Real light? Ah, that is, light that will eventually burn out. Whether it's a torch in the darkness, or the heart warming a home, or even the sun in the heavens. All these things will at some point exhaust themselves, all but that light down there. That light is eternity. I couldn't do anything within that eternal light. I felt paralyzed, even the darkness was better. So it's some kind of sorcerer's light, huh? Thanks for the tip. Sounds like we're getting warm, Otto. Yeah. I look around for the suitable cleavage in the rock and wedge the torch firmly within it. With our compliments. I must thank you again. I'm truly grateful. I hope it serves you well before it burns out. We leave the sculptor standing before his beloved and press on into a deeper darkness, still with only strangest words that will find the eternal light we seek. Do you see that? There's literally nothing else to see. I'm glad it's not just my imagination then. We stumble towards the tiny chink of pure white light that seems to float before us, and bit by bit it grows in size. Damn, I just got flashbang. This is like an SCP-001 proposal. If anybody knows the SCP, you know, Secure, Contain, Protect, the wiki, the universe, the lore, and the game. Okay. Was it like God's land or something? I can't remember. It was like an area where no one can get murdered, die, no disease, no nothing. It was like a neutrality zone, as to say, or so to say. We round one less corner and find ourselves in a large chamber suffused with that light. In the center of the cavern is a large speleothem. Oh wait, speleothem shaped like a twisted throne. Occupying this lonely seat is a man dressed in ragged robes. In this dungeon of naked wretches, even this fellow's shabby garments lend him the bearing of a king. He looks as though he's asleep. Cradled in his arms is the source of the white light, a fine scabbard filled like a cup running over with that mysterious incandescence. The sleeping man begins to stir. Our arrival here must have awakened him. A pale blue eye peers out at us from between curtains of long, fair hair. He's looking right at us. He's looking right at me. Brother? Otto? Impossible. Just another dream. I run across the chamber and grab my brother by his shoulders, which feel too thin beneath his robes. This isn't a dream, brother. It's really me. It's really you. Aww. The three of us, Switch, brother, and myself sit on the flat floor of the chamber with a strange scabbard placed between us, like a simulacrum of travelers sitting around a campfire. The simulacrum, I don't know what it is. Simulacrum reveals some strange details upon closer inspection. However, two of the travelers are quite naked under the cloaks their host kindly provided them with. My attempts to relate to brother everything that's happened to me in the past 10 years only result in my being left quite unable to form coherent speech. Switch is emotionally removed enough from our reunion to step in and provide a succinct exposition of the events immediately preceding our coming. I can only nod and make monosyllabic agreements to corroborate the story. I'm overwhelmed by the myriad emotions swirling around inside me, not all of them positive. Which brings us to our present circumstances. Quite an ordeal. I must thank you for accompanying Otto thus far. Switch unscathed, please continue to be his ally. I might as well see this business through to the end at this point. Thank you. Although I wish we could have been reunited under less trying circumstances, but nevertheless, it's good to see you again. You've done well to come this far. It's good to see you. You've done well. It's all you have to say to me. After 10 years? Shit, what am I getting upset about? It's always been like this. He lives in a world of his own. Would you like to hear a story from me now? Consider it a preamble to the apology I owe you, Otto. I've spent enough time alone with my memories to realize that I've neglected you your whole life. I behaved inexcusably. Okay, brother. Go on. Thank you. There's no present here, no future. We can only dwell in the past. Alright, backstory. What did happen? In the land of Byron, which has known much violence throughout its long history, the birth of twins in the royal line is considered an ill omen. At the front of everyone's mind in such an event is the matter of succession, or at least there are those who say it should be. In spite of such talk, when those two girls were born on that day 20 years ago, they were assuredly blessed. Despite everything that happened afterwards, the day of their birth was surely a happy one. Though they were born with the same face, they were allocated quite different fates. They had scarcely been born before their paths began to diverge. The elder sister, Bryony, grew up cheerful and intelligent, a tomboyish rascal who loved to cause mayhem, who would sneak out of the palace to roam over the hills and forests, imitating the heroes and adventurers she reads of in her books. By contrast, Brandy, the younger, was sullen and withdrawn, with a poor constitution that left her frequently bedridden. Her only real joy, it seemed, was sleeping in a sunny garden with her head on her mother's lap. The events I wish to relate to you happened on such a sunny day in the twins' 11th summer. It really was the perfect weather for whatever you wanted to do, whether that was roaming over the hills or sleeping in a warm lap, and that's just what the sisters were doing. As she roamed, Bryony sang silly songs to herself, and in the garden, Brandy's mother sang her daughter lullabies. And so it was that the day drew on. Eventually, evening came, but Bryony, I guess Bryony is better, was yet to return. Brandy, who had dozed the day away and was not sleepy, was in a panic. She was a pure girl who did not resent the gifts that fate had bestowed upon her sister and denied to her. Why would she? To Brandy, at least, Bryony was just Bryony. In any case, everyone in the palace was troubled by the princess's disappearance. The one who was perhaps the most troubled after the king and queen themselves was me. At this time, I was a courtier in the service of the king's younger brother, Darius. I had the confidence of my master, and I knew well of the dark ambitions he was nursing in his breast, and of how disturbing these ambitions had grown of late. It was thus that I feared for Bryony's well-being. Stealing away from my lord's side, the first of many betrayals, I took to a fast-flying dragon and set off to join the search for her. Having undertaken this particular duty on occasions before now, and knowing Bryony's habits well, I soon tracked her down. I was not a moment too soon. The princess was being pursued by assassins. It was clear to me that my master had set some foul plot into motion. I recall becoming very angry and descending upon the assassins, and then little less. I can boast of no great martial acumen, but I had the dragon and the assassins did not, and it wasn't long before all but one of them were dead. The sole survivor was a fellow I knew, for we were both journeymen of the Adventurers Guild. The guild doesn't accept assassination contracts. He must have been acting behind their back. Not at all surprising to those who knew of this man's character. So I bribed this callow and greedy rogue to make a false report of Bryony's death to his employer and sent him on his way. When I looked towards the east, I found a yet bright evening sky divided by a towering pillar of oily black smoke. The palace was burning. My master had evidently used this disarray caused by Bryony's disappearance to make many moves at once. I felt as if that vile smoke were filling my own lungs. I wanted to vomit. When I sit here and try to remember what the sky looks like, the sky I saw that day is the only one I see. I was at a loss as to my next action or even what I should be feeling. Though I had acted my own initiative, I felt as though if it were nothing but arbitrary chance that had placed the fate of this confused and frightened child, and perhaps that of the entire country, in my hands. I was scarcely more than a child myself. I did what a child would do, and taking the princess with me, returned to my home, my birthplace in that remote mountain valley to the northwest. There I gave Brioni a new name and bid her wait for my return. And she had no idea how long she'd be waiting. You know, you can be kind of a brat sometimes, Otto. He's not wrong. I hope I'll be able to apologize to her someday as well. You know better than I do how Brioni's story continues from there, so I'll carry on recounting my own experiences. In my brief absence, my master had named himself king, placing upon his brow the proverbial crown with hands stained with the blood of his kin. This was the man I had betrayed. Certainly, not a good man. How far should one carry their oath of fealty? I've had plenty of times to consider this dilemma, and I still cannot say where the line should have been drawn. Maybe things could have ended better for everyone involved if I had intervened sooner. I tried not to let my feelings show on my face as my master related to me that one of his slain brother's heirs was still unaccounted for. Not only that, the kingdom's ancestral regalia sword was missing too. The new still womb bloody king ordered his faithful servant to find the missing princess and recover the sword. I learned from the information network of the Adventurers Guild that the surviving princess, that is Brandy, had been taken out of the country to the north. Employing the same information network to my own ends, I sowed the seeds of misinformation and false rumor across the kingdom and its neighbors, burying this grain of truth as deeply as I could. With this done, I set off northwards in search of Brandy. Locating Brioni was a simple matter, but locating his sister proved not to be so. In all things, the two were total opposites. In the end, I had wandered throughout the kingdoms and principalities of the vast northern steppes for some 8 or 9 years before I finally found her. The Beast. The long passage of time and trying circumstances had changed her greatly. The weak and sickly child had grown into a strong and beautiful young woman. Beautiful she was, but also violent and eccentric, a notorious bandit chief and warlord known far and wide as the Beast. I would scarcely have recognized her myself, save that she still bore upon her person the regalia sword that marked the true sovereign of that small country in the mountains from whence we had both come so long ago. I cast myself at her feet and begged for her forgiveness. All thought of why I had been searching for her in the first place was gone from my mind. The Beast only laughed. I looked up at her in surprise, but there was not a trace of mirth in her eyes. These joyless eyes were the last thing I saw before she drew her sword and cut off my head. Well, let me continue. She cut off my head and then she reattached it. The sorcery behind this act will soon be made clear to you. So it was that by her hand that I died, and by her hand I was made to live again. It was her way of absolving me, of granting me a second chance. I swore then that I'd be her faithful servant for the rest of my life. Perhaps it was meeting me again that sparked it, or perhaps it was something that had been growing inside her for a long time, but before long Brandy turned her military ambitions back towards Byron. Over the next year, we pressed downwards from the north, using the pain and hardship of the northern provincials to build our numbers in just cause, like so much fuel for a raging fire. We really did use them. I don't think Brandy ever truly cared for the people's suffering. Her heart was set only on revenge. In spite of this less than noble motivation, her campaign was successful, and eventually we stood at the gates of Big Beer, effectively victorious. Before the decisive battle, Brandy gave me the scabbard of her sword, this thing here, a miraculous boon that can heal any wound. I could not have asked for a better good luck charm or a better token of my new master's trust. She seemed to have come under the impression that I was prone to accident and misfortune. At least that's what I assumed at the time. I'm not so sure now. We conquered Darius' tower with ease, and the Pretender King was at last at his revenger's mercy. She tortured him for days on end, and to a hideous degree. Before long he had ceased even to resemble a person. Brandy seemed to be becoming something inhuman herself. The depths of my liege's anger and cruelty astonished me. So focused was she on brutalizing Darius that the prospect of reuniting with Brioni, her sole remaining family, was pushed far to the back of her mind. Perhaps that was for the best. I think she could have directed her hatred towards just about anyone. When she had reached the very limits of her perverse imagination, she cast what was left of Darius into this deep pit beneath the tower to die, to rot away in its cold darkness. Again, she laughed, that awful laugh. When that laugh was directed at me at a reunion a year prior, I felt it was something painful and sad, but at this juncture, standing by her side as her faithful servant, I was struck only by how vile it was. My liege truly looked like the beast at that moment. The only thing that could spare my former master, the man who remained my blood father, from this fate I was at least in part responsible for, was a scabbard I carried in my hands. Only with that I hope to heal his wounds. Once more breaking a sworn oath, I jumped in after him and escaped with him into the depths of the dungeon. Brandy's laughter was transformed into shrieks of scorned fury that echoed after me and pursued me all the way down here. And that's the end of the story. That's it. That's the story of honest Oswald, who breaks every oath he makes. Where to begin? Right, so King Darius is your father. Did you mean that literally? What does that make me? Oh, don't worry, he's not your father, but he is mine. Before she returned to her hometown and got married, our mother was a scholar here in Big Beer. It's here that she crossed paths with Darius, and I'm the result. I'm what you'd call a bastard child. So we're only half-brothers. That's a pretty major detail not to worry about. You came all this way to rescue Brownwind, didn't you? You should know better than anyone that blood relation isn't what makes a family. Our father cared for me as if I were his own flesh and blood, so you obviously thought so as well. I know all that. Excuse me for being just a little bit shocked. When I was old enough, Mother sent me to serve as Darius' page. If he knew who I was, which I expect he must have, he never once spoke of it. In any case, you are Mother and Father's legitimate child, Otto. A bona fide peasant. Now, Otto, I healed Darius' wounds, but his mind never truly recovered. At best, he lives as if in a dream. More often than not, that dream becomes a nightmare. Perhaps you encountered him on your way down here. I think I know who you mean. So with that being the case, you're now the only one who can judge me. Judge you? Whether I'm to be damned or forgiven for the decisions I've made until now. It's down to you. You have that right. Brother, even before you disappeared for all these years, I've lived with this feeling of uncertainty. Uncertainty about who you were, about that you weren't really my brother, that you were reliving your real life somewhere far away from me. I see now that the feeling was completely off the mark. Oh boy, do I feel stupid. How should I put it? Listening to the story, it seems to me that no matter how many leagues separated us or how many years, no matter where you went or what you did, you were always that same two-serious, clumsy, block-headed brother. You simply don't have what it takes to deceive people. You may have tried to, when some circumstances force your hand, but that forthright nature of yours wouldn't allow you to get away with it. At this very moment you're here trying to offer yourself up for some kind of punishment. Are you quite sane? You're honest, Oswald, because you're honest, to a fault. That's my judgment, brother. Good call. It's more than I deserve. So why hasn't the beast sent anyone down here looking for you? I was afraid of that too at first, but having had plenty of time to consider the matter, I believe I've come to an understanding. Indeed, I would suggest your next objective, should you wish to complete your mission, adventurer. Oh, go on. The sword. Huh? That what you were getting at? The black sword, eh? I did get the impression it was a little bit cursed. It's the very thorn that spurs the beast to madness. I, the unwitting holder of the scabbard, am left to languish down here because that is what the sword itself desires. Without the mitigating influence of the scabbard, it is an unabatedly evil thing. That makes sense. Cursed sword. If you take out the scabbard and sheath the sword, that is the first step to saving Brandy. Save her? She's the villain here and she'll be lucky to escape in one piece if we should cross paths again. I spoke poorly, but I believe the whole kingdom will ultimately suffer if nothing is done. Nor is it much of a leap to imagine her turning her eyes towards her neighbors either. Casper has nothing to fear from Byron. That's not why I came here. You might be missing in action, but you're still a member of the guild. I don't need to explain to you why we do what we do. But are either of us, is anyone in the guild truly so dispassionate that they can fully embody the ideal of serving a greater good without any division in their loyalty? I know I can't. We're all strongly bound to the land of our birth. I'm more than a little behind the times, of course, but is our Casper now so free of troubles that some cunning agitator could not exploit? If I might interrupt for a moment. The way you've been talking makes it sound as if you aren't coming with us, brother. The same ancient darkness that dwells in the sword dwells also in the very earth of this land. We're within its body and it has begun to steer. It senses our intention to escape with the scabbard. So it's about to get very ugly in here. We must carry the scabbard out of this place, Otto. I will remain behind and ensure that the past remains in the past. Brother gives a start and then turns to face the throne behind him. It's already beginning. I stare at the empty seat, only vaguely expecting something to happen. So what? Switch clicks her tongue, then grabs my face and turns it roughly to the left of the rock formation. And then I see it. It's crawling out from behind the rock, crawling out from the deep shadow cast behind the rock. You? Brother, isn't that King Darius? This is to whom you were referring to, right? But something's... That is not my father. Not anymore. That is a darkness from between the stars. The mother of swords. Queen Beast! The scabbard is suddenly thrust into my hands by my brother, who has turned his back on us. He's extending his hand in a claw-like gesture towards Darius, towards the thing that came out from behind the throne. His spell is holding it in place as if it were shackled by chains, but I can see its potency diminishing before my eyes. You can't be serious, brother. You can't fight that thing. We have to get out of here. I'll be alright, Otto. I didn't spend almost a decade wandering around the steps without picking up a few little tricks. Will you stop fucking around? Why are you always like this? Otto, this really isn't the time to be getting wound up. Stay out of this. Otto, stop that this instant. You can get as angry at me as you like, but don't take it out on others. Switch unscathed. Get this rank amateur out of here. Complete your mission. Right. What are you... Before I can react, Switch has thrown over her cloak and swiftly twisted my arm to a simple but shockingly painful martial arts hold. It's enough to bring tears to my eyes and arrest my clumsy resistance in an instant. She wastes no time in the beginning to drag me bodily out of the chamber. Brother is moving further and further away from me again. Brother, if you die down here, I swear I'll never forgive you. But he's dead. He dead. I don't think he can face that thing, man. The Queen Beast is facing the title of the game itself. Before we even make it as far as Darius' chamber, our fellow prisoners find us. With the removal of the scabbard, the fragile equilibrium within the place has been broken, rousing them from their stupor. They pack into the tunnel before us, sluggish but unrelenting, their eyes uncomprehending but driven to thwart our escape by some alien impetus. The power of the scabbard should protect Switch and I from a painful death, but there remains a matter of simply passing through such a mass of bodies. You're not going to run back down there if I let go of you, right? No. Switch releases me from her hold, leaving my free arm, feeling like it's about to float away from my body. She scans the cave floors for something before seizing a hefty loose stone. She casts it into the midst of the oncoming mass, felling the unlucky souls to the front. Using the dent created by the rock as a stepping stone, she begins clambering over the human tide, pulling me along behind her. She kicks and strikes without restraint at those among them, quick-witted enough to snatch at us, but I can't bring myself to repel them with the same ferocity. It's not their fault they're doing this. They're nothing but puppets of the covetous devil that haunts this pit. Even if they'll quickly recover from any damage we inflict on them, it still seems cruel. Switch's attempt to take the little high road is gradually foiled, and we're back down at the prisoner's level when we emerge into what must be Darius' atelier, judging by the torch burning its last on the distant wall. The chamber is packed to the brim with prisoners, and like their brethren in the tunnel, they're all mindlessly closing in on us. They scramble over one another to get to the front, only to get boxed with one of the fist-sized rocks which is now carrying in both hands. There aren't this many of them on the way down. Where were they hiding? What dark crevices did they conceal themselves within until now? Otto, don't separate from me. I can't drag you along and fight at the same time. What? Switch's voice comes from further away than I expected, a rank of prisoners quickly filling the gap that has formed between us. I barged through them, a little more roughly this time, and enjoying Switch, who stopped swinging her fist briefly, enough to shoot me an incredulous look. It's only as we're leaving the chamber that I realized I was searching for Darius' sculpture of his beloved. I don't suppose it will ever be finished now. The closer we get to the surface, the more desperate, the more bestial the prisoners become. Switch and I are being constantly scratched, bitten, and bruised, and sure enough, the injuries are healing almost as soon as we sustain them. This cycle of wounding and unwounding feeds a sickening pain that pulses through my nerves. A grim fatigue eventually sets over us, and we abandon our efforts to fight our assailants off. We simply pack our bodies against one another and press forward like two travelers walking to the wind. Fists hammer down on us, hands grab at our limbs, and fingernails rake at our shoulders and backs. I can hear Switch hissing and gasping through her tightly clenched teeth. I lose all sense of the time we spend trekking through the storm of blows, but eventually reach a large entrance chamber. My faint hope that the extra space would afford us some breathing room is quickly dashed. The prisoners are spinning out of openings in the rock that I would swear were not there when we came in. There must be hundreds of them. Not all of my hopes are lost, however. Swaying above the heads of the prisoners is a thread of spun gold carrying the faint light down to us. Really, it's just an ordinary rope, but it's our way out of here. Otto, Switch! Otto, Switch! Over here! Echo, you're my angel. Otto, you had better give me the scabbard. Even with a hand occupied, I can probably climb a rope faster than you. Agreed. Under no circumstances are you to look up, however. It might make me climb faster. Ow. Aw. Never in my life have I had a cause to climb a rope, but circumstances are making me a quick learner. I hoist myself up at a pace that would put a sailor to shame, but it's a long way to the top. Don't look down, Otto, but they're coming up behind you. Oh, I had a feeling they were. I needn't look. The rope is as taut as the hare's tendon. I wonder how much weight it can support before something gives. Echo seems to read my mind and flies up and over the lip of the hole. It's not looking good up here either. You need to hurry. We redouble our efforts and haul ourselves up the rope. Switch is at the lip. There's a hand reaching out towards her. And then the harsh sound of something wrenching loose. The rope goes slack. The hand that was reaching out for Switches snatches fruitlessly at thin air. Switch and I and all the lost souls of the pit fall back into the darkness. We land in a tumult of lunatic hatred. Grabbing, gnashing, snatching, scratching. Our near escape has served only to pitch the prisoners into a fury. Pale, sinuous hands tear at my skin, trying to render me limb from limb. I lose my temper and trash at them in a blind rage. I trample them underfoot as I fight my way toward the only thing I can see. The light of the scabbard. After all the abuse they put me through, it feels cathartic to lay into them with everything I've got. Why didn't I just do this from the start? I'm stronger than any one of them. I'm so stupid. Something tangled around my feet caused me to stumble and almost go under. It's the end of the rope. It's fastened to a loop of iron attached to a spike fixture. The thing has a good heft, and I put it to work on the prisoners that get in my way, using it like a flail. There we go, boy. Otto, my boy, he's getting it. I soon reach the wall, where I find the scabbard in the hands of a single lonely prisoner. He doesn't seem to know what to do with it, now that he's got it. A surge of revulsion comes over me, and I wrench the scabbard out of his hands and repeatedly hit him with a flail. Where's Switch? I don't know why I'm asking. Even if his face was still there, he wouldn't answer. I want to scream. Give me more light. The scabbard responds to my demand and floods the cabin with white light. This light seems terribly cold and harsh to me now. It only reveals painful truths. I can't find Switch. Switch! Where are you? No one answers, but the prisoners are very interested in me now that I'm holding the ball. It's just a matter of sorting through them until I find her. I can be as rough as I need to be. It's not like I'll be doing any permanent damage. Damn, Otto just become a badass. The Automator. I'm wading into their midst, smashing every wand death mass I see. I don't even feel their pitiful blows anymore. A curious feeling of calm descends over me. But I still can't find Switch. They could have overpowered her and dragged her away into some deep hidden pocket of darkness where I'll never see her again. I hold the scabbard aloft. This is what you want, right? Come and get it! A hand claps lightly on my shoulder. This gentle touch, alien in the spit of pain and darkness, agitates my nerves even more than any assault, and I rounded the source of the anomaly in a fit of furious panic, ready to strike. Don't lose your head, Otto! It's Switch! Switch's face. I'm going to smash Switch's face. Face? I drop my weapon and sink to my knees. Otto? Switch, what are we going to do? I can't stay in this place any longer. I feel like I'm becoming someone other than myself. Switch kneels down in front of me and wraps her arms around my shoulders, burying my head in her warm chest. It'll be alright, Otto. We'll think of some way out of here. The warmth of her body seems to thaw the numbness in my limbs, and the pain returns. The prisoners closing around us, shutting out the light of the false moon. We're trapped. Trapped in a human cage, suffocating under the weight of countless bodies, boiling in their heat. The only god in this terrible place and this perhaps equally terrible object clutching right tightly in my hands. In desperation, I implored this god, give me strength. Not the strength to defeat my enemies. Because as Thorfinn once said, I have no enemies. There are no enemies down here. Oh my god, he actually said it. Just so many starving ghosts. Instead, please grant me the strength to protect this kind girl who carried me all this way, who set aside her mission for my sake, who fell with me into the darkness and still won't abandon me. Just let me protect her, that's all I ask. A power-up. Alright, I'm gonna end this video right here. Hopefully you liked the video. Subscribe, you know what I'm saying. Comment down below. And thank you for watching. Good luck on whatever you're doing. See ya. Bye.